Hello, everybody. Welcome to DEGA Spaces podcast, your gateway to the metaverse. It's your host, Carlos Rene, and today I'm joined by Oren from Punch Games. We'll be learning about their story, their vision for the future, and what's so exciting about this metaverse trend, if anything at all. Let's check it out. Welcome, Oren.
Thank you, Carlos. Very happy to be on here, and thank you for inviting me. I can't wait to start talking with you.
Awesome. So before we jump into the meat of things, could you do us the pleasure of listening to your story at a personal level and then your story within Punch Games?
Okay, thank you. So I'm an obsessive gamer. Back in the day, I used to play League of Legends, and it's always been a dream of mine to work in gaming. And funny enough, even though I'm an American, my mobile game career didn't start until I moved to China. I ended up, working in Web3 games as my first mobile gaming job, and then went into traditional mobile gaming at Fun Plus, and eventually ended up back to the US and started a game studio, and then joined Punch Games, which is now my second game studio. And tell you a little bit about Punch Games and why they started. A few years ago, our co-founders and my friends, Will and Boxy, got really excited about skill-based gaming on mobile, with Skills sort of pioneering that business model 2 years ago. And they took a look at the Skills business model, and even though it was really exciting, they saw a lot of problems and issues in Skills and a lot of other competitors. And Boxy, our CEO, was a Web3 investor at the time, and it was just sort of felt like it was a really good fit to sort of come up with sort of Web3 solutions that addressed a lot of the issues that they saw with traditional skill-based gaming on mobile. And that's how Punch Games got started 2 years ago. And a lot of the sort of Web3 stuff we built in-house. We plan to focus on hyper-casual and casual games. And we'll have, I believe, multiplayer. We already have real-time multiplayer as well. So it's a very exciting time to be in Web3 games on mobile, even with everything that's going on in the market.
Yeah. Right now the market's a little bit crazy, to say the least. So the first thing that we want to know is basically what sets you apart from the other Web3 gaming studios. What's your secret sauce?
Sure. So I like to talk about, since we're still early, like the team. I think we have a very unique co-founding team. I was head of US operations at Fun Plus. I think we have maybe one competitor that has a lot of Fun Plus people, but they're mainly focused on AAA games. So that's another sort of differentiator for us. We're focused initially on casual and hyper casual. We also have a very unique go-to-market strategy. So we're launching a Web2 games and Web2 platform on Google Play and the Apple App Store, and then slowly moving into Web3, which is sort of the opposite approach that a lot of other sort of like OP games or other skill-based Web3 gaming platforms are taking, where they're launching their Web3 stuff all at once. And then the rest of the co-founding team is very unique, where our CTO comes from 4B, our CMO comes from Leath Games and Magic Tavern and Sheen Zone. So we have a lot of diverse mobile gaming experience across both strategy and casual on the team.
Okay. Do you think it would be fair to say that you guys first are targeting, let's say the success with the audience in general, as opposed to going with the hype that everybody's usually going in Web3? Because as you said, most of the Web3 guys, they just go to, sell their tokens, sell their NFTs, but you guys are actually building applications before.
Yeah, exactly. So, all the hype stuff like NFTs, tokens, we're actually shying away from. We're launching, like I mentioned, our games on our platform first. So it's sort of a product focused effort, or I guess you say gains first. I guess a lot of people using the term gains first approach. We have already a lot of games that are already built. We have, I think, around 10 games already built. We're doing some game licensing discussions with some, big players like NBC Universal. And it's not going to be about an NFT, it's going to be about a game. So it's a much, I think, different approach than a lot of other Play to Earn projects are taking. We're not even doing Play to Earn. So that's also another thing that makes us unique, where we sort of have a strategy where we believe Play to Earn can never be sustainable. That's sort of a strategic decision that we've made. We might be wrong, but this is what we've chosen. And our business model is very simple. It's skill-based wagering, just with crypto and hopefully eventually cash as well in the long term.
All right. Yeah, I would say that definitely sets Sponge Game apart from most of the players in the industry. Okay, having said that, we hear a lot of talk about Web3. The metaverse is everywhere. There's 99% of it is noise, 1% of it is like true signal. Why would you say that this matters? Like, why would we need to change the way we're making games? And you said you started off in a traditional game style development. Why do you need Web3 at all?
Great question. I would say, first of all, it has a lot to do with what the current market is looking for. So, as you know, for a startup, raising money is very important. I had the sort of similar feeling to you when I started my first game studio, Etc. Games. Why do you need Web3? We can do community-driven games on mobile without Web3. But guess what? I needed to raise money. And every time, this was like 2 years ago, every time I had a meeting with an investor and we're like, okay, we have this player-driven council. It's basically a DAO without using anything on chain. It's like basically a people-driven DAO. And every single investor we chatted with asked us why we weren't using Web3. So in order to have a viable company, you need to raise money. And in order to raise money, you need basically what the market is looking for, what investors are looking for, not necessarily consumers all the time. Because you can't just start a game company, have players without paying people. So you need Web3 to have a viable business in order to raise money. You can do it without Web3, but no one's going to want to work with you.
Would you say that that is something that is a matter of, let's say, fashion, or do you believe that truly fundamental reasons for that are going to be evident as time goes by?
I'm sure there are very good reasons why investors are looking for that. They like to invest in things that are not feasible right now, that are sort of the future. And something that's more feasible, which is to do it without Web3, is not a big enough risk for them. So it's more about what investors are looking for. For me, I do believe in the NFT stuff as well. It's just more feasible without NFTs, but that doesn't matter to investors. So you can't start a business with that. But what I bought into in 2018, which sort of matches with what investors are thinking, is having NFTs in games. Since I'm a player myself, a lot of people, I think, have forgotten the original story of why Ethereum exists. Vitalik was a World of Warcraft player, and he spent thousands of hours acquiring this one weapon, and then one day Blizzard changed an attribute on the weapon. And he got so pissed off, he created Ethereum. You have to be really pissed off to do something like that. And I used to think that was an exception. But after my career working in Web3 and traditional mobile gaming, I've realized Vitalik is not the exception anymore. There are players who've been playing a lot of these free-to-play games on mobile for a very long period of time that have been getting really, really pissed off over a very long time. and have been demanding a lot from those game studios that develop their games that they play. And the demands have not been being met for many, many years. So that's demand. It's just economic, supply and demand. So for a very long time, players have been demanding more and more engagement, more and more voice in the mobile games that they play. And supply has not been able to meet those demands. Because I've seen, Ethereum, I've seen these players who get so mad, they start their own game studios. I used to think those are really rare things, but now it's like, 5, 10, 20 players, 30 players all starting their own game studios because they're so pissed of how a game studio is handling a game that they're playing. So NFTs, I think, is a sort of almost perfect fit where it gives players sort of the engagement or ownership that they've been looking for. And the thing is, the games that are attached to the NFTs right now are terrible. No one wants to play them. So the supply has still not been able to meet the demand. So I think that's what these investors have been asking for. More, the Web3 has been more about NFTs than play to earn. I think play to earn is maybe something that got attached to NFTs out of sort of the over exuberance of finance people.
Yeah, I mean, like everything, it has its hype cycle, right? So it has to go up, be overhyped, overvalued, go down, and then smooth out over time. What you mentioned about, the story about it not even being weird right now for somebody to get their assets either deleted or removed from games, it's becoming something more common. That's actually, it seems like there's a fashion right now about canceling people, right? About deleting people's accounts. So it used to be like the norm, like when social media first started a few years ago, it would be weird for somebody to have his accounts removed from a platform, right? Because the kind of like the mindset that companies have had throughout history is that, the customer is always right? I need my customers. I want my customers to be happy. But, we've kind of like leaked into a new phase in which it's not only about having clients, right? It's also about politics. It's about values. So now getting your account canceled seems to be something that's not even weird anymore. And I even read that there was a group of parents that were suing Roblox because they deleted a lot of their kids' accounts. And what, somebody external that doesn't have kids might not know, but parents spend like hundreds of dollars in their kids' games. And imagine if you've had a Roblox account for like 4 years, and you've put it with, $5,000, $10,000, plus all the time that you've played with it, plus the emotional connection that you have with the characters you've built and the places you've gone and the experiences you've had there. And now basically that's removed in an instant, right? It's even like, it's even like a more abusive dictatorship than what you see in the real world, right? In the sense that it's instantaneous and, complete in that sense.
Sure. Those things are very normal these days. And again, it has a lot to do with the supply and demand economics of, players in games. I think demand has sort of reached a tipping point where a lot of these game studios just don't tolerate players anymore. I mean, it just increases the demand more for other games. So, the players that leave and move to similar games all the time, because those similar games say, hey, we'll do better. Or, hey, we're going to give you more rewards. And now I think, players are looking for more because they've been burned too many times before. I had players at FunPlus that are spending $50,000 to $100,000 in a free-to-play mobile game. Once a player spends that much money, the game studio might not care about them anymore because they've made their money back, and they made more than their money back on that one player. Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of those players now, are not tolerating or having a lower tolerance for how game studios are managing their games because of there's more availability with NFTs. There's more game studios that are trying to be the exception trying to give more ownership or engagement back to players.
Yeah, definitely Web3, self-custodianship, self-ownership can play a role there. But in this new trends that we're seeing, it's not only Web3, right? We also got AI, we also got XR, and a plethora of new technologies that are going to help creators and help the audience as well to be more interactive and dynamic. Now, what do you see as the main challenges going forward with all of these technologies? Because XR and AI and Web3 are, let's say, even fringe technology among the technical people, right? It's not easy to find programmers that know how to do this. It's not easy to find studios that have experience with this. What's the challenge to move forward with these technologies in the coming years?
Sure. I would say the biggest challenge is quality. Quality games. So, I mean, you're saying AR, VR. For all of those, in order to have engagement, you need something to attract players to engage. And if it's not like a social thing, then it has to be a game. I think people thought it was finance before. I have a Chase app. A lot of people have finance apps, and they do interact with it a lot. But I don't think you would find one person that says, "Oh, I love going into my Chase app and looking how much money I have left," or I love going on it. It makes my day. No, people get that from games. When in regards to new technology or new internet technology. So you need good quality games for that to happen. And I think a lot of other studios similar to ours are doing a games first approach, where they're just trying to focus on making good games first. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing to do because number one, it's very hard to make a good mobile game. And then number two, it's even harder to make a good mobile game that has Web3 elements. So, still these days, people have a very hard time making good mobile games or successful mobile games. And now they're adding Web3 to the mix as well. So those are really two big hurdles that I think are going to stick with us probably forever. It will never be easy to make a good Web3 mobile game because it's never easy to make a really good mobile game. So it's all going to be about quality. That will always be the hardest thing to do. Quality games that do well. So even if you have a quality game, doesn't guarantee that's going to do well anyways.
Yeah, that's right, actually. And part of the reason I think behind this is because over time, our usage of technology and phones has made our attention span harder to grasp, right? Because everybody's used now to like 1 minute videos in TikTok, right? And you're like, you see it, if it doesn't capture you literally in 10 to 20 seconds.
Exactly. That's why we're doing like casual and hyper casual, so we can do many of them. A lot of, I think, other studios, at least right now, are doing AAA games where you only have one shot. I mean, they're throwing like 40 million, 50 million, 100 million into it. Only one game, AAA, and they only have one shot. And maybe one of them will take off, but only one of them will. If you're doing hyper casual, I think there's a couple more opportunities. It's less riskier. But as you know, investors like a lot of risk, especially if there's a huge reward. So,
yeah, especially and for investors, like for many of them, the reward is even upfront, right? Like they don't even have to wait for the game to be released because many companies, unlike what you are doing, they're just going to sell their token, sell their NFT, hype it up. So many of the investors are already recouping their money and they're like, yeah, we're out, right? They don't have to provide the advisory. They don't have to provide the continuous support that you would usually expect from.
And it's funny sometimes these Web3 investors. I think that's where they sort of got tripped up because they were like really pressuring companies to get tokens out quickly, really pressuring companies to get NFTs out quickly, so they can make a quick buck. And then because of they having that mindset, they got connected to a lot of projects that were also meeting those, meeting those demands, and were also only motivated by making a quick buck as well. So that only really works during a bull market. So a lot of those Web3 investors now are, I don't know. I hope they're doing well. But fortunately, projects that have not launched yet have had the opportunity to, see all these mistakes that other projects have made, and have taken, different go-to-market strategy approaches. I think I've heard a lot of other projects that, are taking the time, spend the time doing research, are taking a similar approach to us.
And now that you've outlined what's the biggest, risk for upcoming studios, which is quality, right? Obviously, if you're Nintendo and you got, IP that stretches back decades, you can risk making a bad game and missing the mark. But if you're an upstart, you can't miss it, right? Like you gotta, well, if you're going with AAA games, like you said, you can't miss it. But I would say, like, even if you're making hyper casual like you guys, it's not like it's a given thing, right? You gotta iterate, you gotta work hard at it. What would you recommend to other up and coming game studios to mitigate, right, that risk? Like, how do they reduce their risk of failing?
Sure. I would say two things. One, launch quickly. Either launch quickly internally like Supercell and have, play tests really early so you can kill, games really quickly. Or number two, try to license well-known game IPs. That's also a good way to, even if it's not AAA game, if you're going to do like a hyper casual game using like a game IP or a TV IP, like Minions or Despicable Me, that's a really good way to de-risk the game, because that IP already has a very well-defined audience. So with most games, the biggest risk is before you launch it, you don't know who's going to play your game. You might have an idea, but you really don't know until the game's out there. But if you have like a TV IP, say like, I don't know, Aladdin or whatever, they already have a very well-defined audience. So that helps basically de-risk the game. There are some IP owners right now that are specifically and aggressively looking to license their IPs to NFT projects. I would recommend NFT Universal as one. There's not a lot of them out there, but I think in the future, hopefully there's going to be more, IP owners that are looking to hopefully collaborate with, NFT projects or NFT games. But I would recommend trying to take a look at some of the IPs, TV IPs that MDC Universal owns, like The Mummy, Swamp Monster, Dracula, etc.
All right, yeah, that seems like a pretty cool way to approach that.
And cheap, and it seems like it is not too expensive these days. So,
oh, okay. All right, I hope everybody's been taking notes. It's been a great conversation and many lessons learned. It's like a mini crash course of going through game development here. It's been a pleasure hosting you, Oren. Before we leave, can we let the audience know where they can follow you and learn more about Punch Games?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn, Oren Bennett. They can follow Punch Games, Punch_games is a Twitter handle. We have a Discord that you can find through there as well. I believe we have a Facebook page. We have a Telegram group that you can all find, I think, via our Twitter or messaging our Twitter. You also can find me via email, oren@punch.games. Currently, I think our website, we're doing an update. We'll be back up in a couple days as well, and you can sign up to basically get a notification when we're going to be on Google Play and the App Store through our website.
All right, we'll make sure to list all of that below. And remember as well to stay tuned to DEGA Spaces if you want to catch the latest episode. We'll be interviewing many other talented engineers and builders in the metaverse and gaming space. This was your host, Carlos Rene, and I'll catch you in the next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you.